Hello everyone and welcome to our video series on Learn German Grammar. In this video, you will be learning when to use Sie and when to use du. After doing a few examples, we will be doing a short exercise. To practice what you learned today, you can download a free worksheet from our page on patreon.com. So let's begin. Du oder sie. As you already know, du is used in informal situations and sie is used in formal situations. Before we get into the details, here are first of all two examples. Woher kommen Sie? And the next one. Was magst du? Sie and du. Both are pronouns which have the same meaning in English, you. However, in the German language, they are not interchangeable. There are specific situations where you can use each one of them. It's very important to use the correct pronoun in a certain situation. Now let's learn in which situation we use which pronoun. We will begin with du. Du is used in informal situations. Die Mitglieder einer Familie und Verwandte benutzen du untereinander. That means, if you are family or related to someone, you would use du to address them. Here's an example. Sag mal, hast du dieses Buch gelesen? The second situation is friends. Freunde benutzen untereinander auch du. And here's an example. Max, kannst du mir helfen? Let's look at the third situation. Erwachsene zu Kindern und Jugendlichen. That means when adults are talking to kids or young teenagers, then they use du. Here's an example of a father talking to his son. Warum hörst du mir nicht zu? The next situation is Studenten untereinander. Students, it's not necessary that they are friends, also use the du form. And here's an example. Wann hast du morgen Zeit? Kinder und jüngere Leute benutzen auch du miteinander. When children and young people talk to each other, they also use du. Let's look at an example. Ja, du hast recht. Addressing someone with du requires the consent of the person addressed. This generally arrives from the situation. We just did a few of them. Or this could arrive from a prior agreement that du be used between two people. Du is generally offered by the older of the two, or at work by the one who is at a higher position. Mostly in office situations, colleagues start with Sie and after a consent use du. Arbeitskollegen untereinander, sofern sie dies vereinbart haben. Tobias, wann magst du Feierabend? So these were the situations where you use du. Now let's look at some where you should use Sie. The first situation is when adults talk to each other and have not agreed to use du. Erwachsene untereinander, du wurde nicht vereinbart. For example, boss and employee. At government agencies, at restaurants, etc. Let's look at an example. Frau Müller, wo wohnen Sie? Kinder und Jugendliche sagen zu Erwachsenen Sie, wenn sie nicht verwandt oder befreundet sind. Zum Beispiel Lehrer und Schüler. That means children and teenagers always address adults with Sie if they are not friends or related. For example, a teacher and her pupils. Here's an example. Herr Schmidt, Kann ich Sie kurz unterbrechen? In formal situations, you should address the person with their Nachname and in informal situations with the Vorname. The rules we just did also apply to the plural forms of the pronouns. The plural pronoun for du is ihr. Kinder, wann kommt ihr? The plural form for sie does not change. It remains the same. Sie. Here's an example. Liebe Kollegen, danke, dass Sie heute gekommen sind. In the German language, there is a verb used for addressing someone with du and with sie. Duzen. For example, a senior colleague asks a junior one, wollen wir uns duzen? And for sie, the verb is sitzen. For example, in Geschäftssituationen ist es besser, immer zu sitzen. Yes, that's true. In official situations and in business situations, you should always use the pronoun sie. Another question that you might ask is when to use groß sie and when to use groß du. Sie ist always used groß in formal situations. For example, Frau Meier, möchten Sie etwas trinken? And in informal situations, du ist klein. Hast du Lust, ins Kino zu gehen? Only when you're writing letters or emails or an SMS, where you know the person you're writing to pretty well. Then you can use du groß. Here's an example. Liebe Maria, wir hoffen, du kommst bald. If there is any situation where you are not sure to use sie or du, always go in for sie. Using du in situations where you should have used sie can sound very impolite and could also create a problem. Now let's do an exercise to see how much you have understood. Übung. You have to fill in the blanks with either du or sie. And here's the first one. Your answer should be, wie findest du meine Hose? Well, another thing that you should remember is the way the verb is conjugated with du and sie. The ending of the verb with du is with st and with sie is en. The next one is, and the answer is, Markus, kommst du mit? Let's move on to the next one. The answer is, Herr Müller, was möchten Sie essen? Here's the next one. And your answer should be, kennst du mich nicht? Let's look at the next one. And the answer is, Herr Neumann, was machen Sie hier? And now the last one. And the answer is, entschuldigen Sie, wo sind die Toiletten? Hope the difference between the two pronouns, du and sie, is clear. To practice what you have learned today, you can download a free worksheet from our page on patreon.com. Danke! Thanks for watching this video. If you liked this video, do give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you still haven't. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave them in the comment section below. Tschüss, auf Wiedersehen!